Travis Winggoodsill. As I was working on a video for you, I was attacked with a hack. And so, trying to get things situated. Turns out somebody had turned off my internet security. And turned off the protection from bad apps. So, yes, proven correct that people no longer need to go online to get you. They go through apps. So, yay. So, somewhere through one of my apps, or one of my apps is selling to a third party who attempted to attack me on Friday the 13th. I hope it's fixed. We shall see. It was interesting watching the season premiere of Law and Order SUV, Special Victims Unit, and Superstore Season 6, Episode 3, that they had a common theme about the reverse racism. Is that when people play the race card, or when people play the sex card, or when people play the bigotry card, or whatever form of hate card, when it's a person who's innocent, it's well understood that the people are projecting, that they are using that card to commit an act of racism, bigotry, sexism, or other kind of hatred. This is what I had warned you, for those of you who are regular followers of all my videos, way back with the Get Your Knee Off My Neck movement, Black Lives Matter protests, that there would come a time where they'd turn it on you to shut it down, just like they did with the Me Too movement. Because with the Me Too movement, it took off like wildfire. All women were rising up, accusing men from their past, and men of positions of popularity and celebrity status and job status were crashing as it was then followed up with the attempt to destroy it, which succeeded, of false accusations. And the way they did it was that, well, they had men rise up and say, "Oh, I've been abused by women," and LGBTQ plus 1A. Is there anything else you've added since the last time you've added? Who also come up and say, "Oh, yeah, me too." And that's the first phase, is that it's no longer a woman's issue. It's now everybody wants a part of it. I want to be involved too. I'm a victim. And sure enough, then you get the false accusations coming out. And people's lives are getting wrongfully destroyed by the false accusations. And even by women. Women were making false accusations against men as well, as part of this collapse of the Me Too movement. And thus it's now gone. We did see Harvey Weinstein get busted. He's now in prison, I think. I hope. He got sentenced, I thought. unless they do a thing for rich white people of saying, okay, now that you're guilty, we'll set a sentencing date for 10 years from now, and now that you've been sentenced, you are to appear to prison 10 years from now, so that they can die before they ever go to prison. But yeah, for Superstore, it was a situation where the floor manager position was opened up because the manager left for Southern California, and the one guy said, hey, I'll try it, I'll apply for it, and he was the only one who applied. He got the position. But the security didn't like him being the new floor manager, and stirred up in the mind of one of the female employees that she should be the floor manager. And so all of a sudden, yeah, I should be the floor manager. And all of the sexist, even racist excuses were used to go after him. And eventually they found a 6-year-old picture of him celebrating some guy's birthday at Hooters, which I thought they had different kinds of t-shirts. But he had taken a photo, as he was required to, as everybody was required to take photos with the waitresses. And so the security person, and now the one eager to take that job, was now using that as evidence that he can't be the floor manager, and that he therefore must be removed, and then the other woman should take the job instead. Now, I'm familiar with this tactic, as I was a victim of it, working for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as Nelson wants us to call it, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, working at their distribution center warehouse on 17th and 17th, where I had just been abandoned by an abusive wife who took my computer and thus my research files, which were on floppy disks back then. You see, millennials, back in my day, and so I had to redo all my research once I was able to get a new computer again. And so yeah, she really screwed me over, and so I was not in the mood for anything. I wasn't interested in seeking a higher promotion or raise or none of that. But the supervisor came to me and said, or the manager, I guess, not the supervisor, of our department, came to me and said, there's a position opening up to include sorting the papers in the morning. It will be an additional raise in pay for you to $13 an hour. And so this was back in the 2000-ish era, 1999, she left in 1997, so it was most likely in 1997 that summer, because I think it was even May, the month after. She couldn't wait a single month for me to then get a raise. I remember that now. And so, I turned him down. I said, thanks, but I can't do any, and I'm not in the mood. And yet, he didn't tell the other women who were wanting their selected woman to get that job. but they knew that it was going to be offered to me. And so instead of the more qualified person getting the job based upon the submission of the application, they decided to cheat and lie and destroy my life in trying to claim that I was being sexually abusive and all sorts of other stuff. It was just ridiculous. But it was all to make sure that that woman got the job. Turns out they were attacking me in vain. I refused it. But because they weren't told that I refused, they thought, oh, let's destroy his life, so that we make sure that our selection gets the position. And so they threw out sexism. Oh, you're selecting a man for the job, and he hasn't been working here as long as this other person. And so, yeah, they were going full throttle on all sorts of accusations to use guilt trips to get the job, and false accusations and all sorts of stuff. And the weird thing is that their false accusations were put on my record, even after they were found out to be false. What the hell is wrong with a company that allows false accusations to remain on a person's record for the rest of their current time at the business? My hell. But anyway, so yeah, I know exactly that type of behavior from Superstore. I being a victim of it. And so SUV was about the George Floyd movement, the Black Lives Matter protests, as they did a Karen incident where a black guy who was just exercising there in the park is confronted by a Karen with her little boy. Oh, he's scaring my little boy. And yeah, the boy wasn't interested in any of that. I want to go home, Mom. I don't want to be here. Let's go home, Mom. But anyway, and so yeah, I'm not a Karen. And so the cops come, and of course they arrest the black man because, you know, he's black. And then the SVU guys come after they find a guy had been sexually assaulted and left for dead there in the park. And as it turns out, it wasn't the black man, but because he had priors on his record, they had no choice but to take him downtown. Turns out they forgot to check the accuser to see if she had any priors, which she does, even a restraining order from her ex. And so, yeah, they made that mistake. But they got Olivia, who's now the leader of that SUV group, being an agent at first 22 years ago, as they're now in season 22. They turned it on her to say that because she's a white, that therefore she's racist, and that she has to admit that she has racism in her. And so she's like, oh, I guess I do. She's been working with Ice Cube or whatever nickname he uses. Everybody wants to use a nickname, I guess. But Ice-T or Ice Cube, or I don't know, remember his name. Let me find out. Bum 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 bum. I can't. Alright, so Law and Order SVU cast. Order SVU cast. There we go. My goodness, you got the original guys here at the front. Where are you? This could take days. There you are. Iced tea. Alright, so yeah, hold on a second while I take care of this. And so she had to watch her back as she was being internally investigated. And they were going to do a whole bunch of firings, and somebody's going to go down for this. And then the actual sexual predator was then set free because of the wrongful arrest. So the moral of the story is nobody should be in trouble with the law. Henry Winkler was on the show? Huh. Interesting. Redo the labeling, but dang, can't they just do it right from the beginning? Oh, but that would mean that you won't continue to buy their products over and over again when your DVDs go bad. We have to have you keep buying our product, and so we're going to commit crimes to make sure you do. Seriously? I put it in the wrong... Alright. Take care of that later. And so, where all of this comes from is psychologists. And I've explained it, but let me explain it again. I would love to show you the clip from Bad Boys 2. YouTube would throw a hissy fit, though. Even though it won't be a copyright violation, YouTube thinks that they are the law on copyrights. And because they're in charge, I can't properly present you with adequate information and education on the subject matter, because YouTubes are a bunch of baby brat bullies. Aren't you guys who are throttling the processing of my video and looking for any excuse to shut me down? Again, bigotry is their cause. And so psychology, as organized by Stanley Smith Stevens, Mormon from Utah, Ogden, who's now dead since about 73 or so, created what's typically understood by you guys as a mental box where you put people in a box that you create in your mind, and everything that that person does is placed in that box in your brain. That's what's called a dichotomous and non-dichotomous categorization. Dichotomous categorization is one of two options, and only one of two options. The other one is subcategories of either of those one or two options. And so Bad Boys 2, Martin Lawrence is there with the police shrink, and she's saying, You're angry. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. And words start flying back and forth between the two of them, as she tries to repeat over and over again, he's angry, and he's like, no, I'm not. You're repeating that I'm angry is making me angry. This is their trap that they designed, that Stanley Smith Stevens, the Mormon, was able to put into an official looking document for everybody to read in the field and say, hey, awesome, we're cha-ching, business galore. And so now you'll hear psychologists say, oh, everybody's got a mental illness of one kind or another. See, that's the trap. There's no such thing as a mental illness. And yet there they are. Oh, you've got a mental illness. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. You're saying that I have a mental illness is making me crazy. I was crazy once. They put me in a padded room. It drove me crazy. Crazy. I was crazy once. And and so this is the tactic that they use. They gaslight you and repeat the gaslighting over and over and over and over. And they'll even say, and I'm sure you've heard it, oh, if you deny that you're mentally ill, that's proof that you're mentally ill, because you're in denial. And so, yeah, they keep reinforcing this over and over again, that you've got a mental illness problem and that you need their help to get over it and to treat it. And so, depending on whether the government wants you in the system, depends on the level of treatment you get. But this goes all the way back when the church was saying, yeah, I like this electroshock therapy on gay people. Let's do it. And now, the homophobic ears. And so this is what has carried over into our culture. Psychology has dominated. And if you don't understand, psychology is a fraudulent science. It's called a pseudoscience. They're fake. They are the original fake news. They don't take care of anybody. They don't treat anybody's problems in the sense of providing cures. They don't look for a cause. How can they treat somebody if they don't know what's causing their problem? That should have been a red flag warning to everyone. And back in the 80s, yes, they knew all about it. Not just Bad Boys 2, which I think was in the 90s, wasn't it? Maybe in the 2000s. But Lethal Weapon. Let's see, Martin Riggs. He knew. He loved to play games with the psychiatrist in the police department. And Die Hard. He went after the psychiatrist. Terminator. Oh, that was awesome with that one. And so, yes, people did know at one point in time that psychiatry and psychology, all of that therapy, counseling, was all just a fraud. And now, Fox finished because the one guy got accused of being a little too physical with the other character, and so they replaced him with somebody else who was a Lethal Weapon, and they couldn't keep the ratings up, and so it died after that first season with the new guy. Yeah, that new Lethal Weapon TV show on Fox completely turned to accept the psychologist. So that was a big disappointment for that show, even though it was still awesome for the new take on why he was a lethal weapon, because of his wife being murdered by Mexican gangs. But and so when you watch and people come out with the Me Too movement and say, oh, you're a man, therefore you're sexist. You have to accept that you're sexist because you're a man. See, you're a man. You're therefore sexist. It's the same tactic used by psychologists. You have a mental illness. No, I don't. Yes, you do. Your denial means you do. You're a man. Oh my God, I'm a man. I am sexist after all. Yeah, that's what they want. Then they can control you, which won't be very successful, but that's the whole point. They've got you for life as a customer, as a client, where you have to go in week after week. Oh, I couldn't help myself. I had to do it. Well, you'll have to try again. Try harder. Call me if you ever... Yeah. Working for DirecTV at Convergys as a phone operator to help people with any problems that they had. I was at break one time, there in the break room, and one of the other co-workers came, sat down next to me, and started talking about how she goes down to see her boyfriend in Provo whenever he calls her and says he's wanting to do drugs. And so she goes down there to help him with his drug problem by having sex. She had gotten played by this guy into thinking that she was helping him with his drug problem by helping him have sex. Dum 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 dum. Oh man. So how do you communicate with a person like that? He's using you for sex. He's still doing drugs. No, you're wrong. He loves me. He's wanting help, and I'm helping him. Okay. And so, yeah, that was quite interesting. But yeah, with the Black Lives Matter, again, oh, you're white. Oh my God, I am white. I am a racist. It's the same thing. They keep telling you over and over again, you're white, therefore you're racist. And it never occurs, hey, wait, you're racist for saying that because I'm white, I'm therefore racist. You have no evidence to back it up with. I haven't denied you a raise or a promotion because I'm not your boss. You're just assuming that if I were in such a position, that I would do such an act of racism against you. And I've been a victim of that. While in New York, in Brooklyn, we were on a split with another missionary. He decided, I need to stop and rest and get something to snack on. So we're there at the steps of a Baptist church, and I'm watching the surroundings, and I see this guy. He then sees us, and then he beelines it down the corner, down the other street, and then I see him come around another street, and then all of a sudden other guys come from all different directions and they converge on us. This is a stick-up. Yeah. Give me your money. We don't have any money, we're missionaries. Give me your money. We don't believe you. Look at the badges. Missionaries. Give us your money. We don't have any money. Knives come out. Give us your money. This is reparations for what your ancestors did to my ancestors. What are you talking about? My ancestors are from the north. They helped free slaves. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't do my genealogy. My parents didn't tell me. And there's a reason why they didn't tell me. Because there's an embarrassment of my mom's dad's side of the family being North Carolina slave owners. And one such ancestor, paternal ancestor, raped a teenage maternal ancestor who was the slave girl on the farm. And despite that, in my mom's family line, which she knew about, because I eventually asked her, Mom, I'm trying to find the parents of this family line, and I can't figure it out. The father's name is Kedar. I think it's Kedar, isn't it? Let me check. Gotta hurry up and finish here, so. Yeah, Kedar. The sons of Ishmael. Kedar. And I never made the connection that, oh, black. So black families would name their kids after Ishmael rather than the white kids of the Bible. And so, yeah, it never occurred to me that that was a black ancestor. After all, I'm pink. Therefore, I'm racist. And so my mom told me, yeah, on your grandfather's side, there was an incident where it caused an embarrassment and shame of the family, and nobody wants to talk about it. And yet my mom was still a racist, as I confronted her about it one day, and she replied as her excuse, well, my parents are worse. What? What? Because my parents sheltered me. They kept me from living among people of other races. So we were always in the white suburban neighborhoods growing up. And because they were out of sight, out of mind, as my parents intended, my only experience was TV watching. Good Times, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, etc. And the occasional movie, as VHS tapes were finally starting to come out, I could rent videos. And of course there's Winston Zeddemore. Can't leave out Winston Zeddemore, the essential Ghostbuster. Tell him about the Twinkie, Ray. What about the Twinkie? And and so for me, I just saw everybody as human beings. That's what we were taught in the Mormon church, right? And so that 1978 thing, I'm like, huh? And so, yeah, you have to be taught to be racist. You have to be taught to be sexist. You have to be taught to be a bigot. If you can't understand that you are not naturally these things, then you're going to get slammed when people turn on you and try to accuse you falsely. Because people have tried to do that to me. Oh, you're a racist, Travis. Oh, and which racism am I supposed to be? Am I a white racist or a black racist? Because of my ancestral line of the raping of the ancestral maternal mother, grandmother. And so that shuts people up. But yeah, psychology has really screwed us all up as they try to make everybody falsely accuse others so that everybody can then go into therapy. And that's the whole purpose for it, is Democrats want this. And we've had this on the news where they say, oh, it's always the white people that go into therapy and the blacks go to prison. And so, yeah, Democrats want everybody to go into therapy. Rather than saying, hey, maybe they're innocent. Maybe we should let the justice system get corrected and fixed so that true criminals get punished and innocent people don't have their lives ruined. But that concept just doesn't appeal to anybody other than us victims. So, there you go. Alrighty, Travis Wingoodsell. Got to be quick because I got 3 loads of laundry now that it's winter time. So, as a child, born in the Mormon church, there was a situation, one conference in April, where we were gathered at our state conference building, and I, of course, was sleeping on my mom's lap as an 8-year-old boy, just turned 8 years old, just been baptized, and was impatient that the convert family was getting priority over me because I wanted to get it done and over with. And so at conference, I'm there sleeping on my mom's lap, obviously too big, and so it was just my head lying on her lap. And then during the middle of the session, the audience is all murmuring, just a buzz with murmur. Turns out it was N. Eldon Tanner who was speaking at the pulpit during conference. I had no clue who he was. I didn't know anybody, and didn't know what was going on. I lifted up my head from hearing all the murmuring that was going on. Something was said. I missed it. And went back to sleep on my mother's lap. I never saw or understood from my parents any kind of racism. From my peers, however, yeah, I heard a lot of it. And that's why I didn't like hanging out with any of the guys. Also, when living in Michigan, there was the incident with Beth, and I don't want to get into that because I'll start crying. And so I became more inclined to want to hang out with women instead, girls. And so with the abuse of my peers, my male peers, I had no interest in hanging out with guys. I wanted to hang out with the girls. But of course, being male, oh my God, I'm male! Sorry, that's you don't know the backstory of that joke, and I'll get to the other part of it in this video. Hopefully, I gotta keep it short. But oh my God, I'm a man! Oh my God, I'm white! Oh my God, I'm heterosexual! And so I heard from my peers the most horrifying abuses of racist comments that they heard from their older brothers or from their parents or from their other family members and those in their neighborhood, and possibly even church, who knows, or Sean Hannity or Rush Limbaugh back in the radio days. And because by high school they were talking about, oh yeah, I heard from Rush said this. And so yeah, lots of horrible stuff, and I can do a version of this video for sexism, bigotry, as well as racism. We're choosing racism for this time. And I've told the story about how I'm forgetting his name now. Why am I forgetting his name? Say his name! Let's start talking around it. In junior high, at Auburndale Junior High. So yes, I'm not from Utah. We were at PE playing touch football, the guys started joking about, hey, let's play tackle. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, let's play tackle. Cool, man. Hut, hut, hike. I get the ball, run in for a touchdown. Stan Lowry touches me on my shoulders. And I twist my ankle. And turns out it cracked the inner one bone, so that I was put in a cast. Everybody else was saying, oh yeah, they were all talking about wanting to play tackle. And Stan Lowry, man, he took him down hard. No, he didn't. He just touched me on my shoulders. But I couldn't get anybody, none of the adults, to believe me. They had already had their mind preset. Virus and threat protection. Check virus protection. Microsoft Defender. No, you're not my... So apparently I was attacked just now. And thanks a lot, the virus protector I do have, for not protecting me. And so, yeah. That was the first real time where I saw words turn into action for racism. But I didn't understand racism as a word. It may have been talked about on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or some other show that I would see, Good Times, or any of those other TV shows where I was watching and being brought into... What are you doing? Somebody's messing with me now. So this whole video is getting ruined because somebody's